Uncle, don't drink it. She put something in your drink, warned the poor girl to the millionaire. William Parker took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves as he greeted the guests at his engagement party. At 52, he had finally found someone who claimed to love him for real, not just for his money. That's when he felt a gentle tug on his arm. Looking down, he saw Emily, the daughter of Margaret, the cleaning lady who had worked in his mansion for over 10 years. "Uncle William, don't drink that," whispered the 8-year-old, discreetly pointing to the champagne flute in his hand. "Emily, what are you doing here, sweetheart?" he asked, surprised to see her in the main hall. "I came to help Mommy serve, but I saw—" The girl hesitated, glancing nervously around. "I saw Aunt Jennifer put something in your drink when you went to greet the people at the back." William felt the world spin for a moment. Jennifer was his fiancée, a beautiful 32-year-old lawyer he had met at a business conference 6 months earlier. "Emily, are you sure about what you're saying?" he asked, bending down to her level. "Yes, Uncle. It was a white powder." She looked around before dropping it into the glass and stirred it with her little finger. Then she quickly put the paper back in her purse. The businessman glanced across the room where Jennifer was chatting animatedly with some guests. She wore an elegant navy blue dress and beamed radiantly, exactly like a happy bride-to-be should. But now, with Emily's warning, every gesture of hers seemed suspicious. "Why did you tell me this, sweetheart?" William asked, still processing the information. "Because you've always been so kind to me and Mommy. And because—" Emily lowered her voice even further. "It's not the first time I've seen it." "What do you mean, not the first time?" The girl glanced around again before continuing. "Over the past few weeks, when I came to work with Mommy at your house, I saw her doing it several times, always when you weren't looking. She took medicine from the bathroom and put it in your juice or coffee." William's legs felt weak. Lately, he had noticed strange episodes of confusion and extreme drowsiness, but had blamed it on work stress. "Emily, where's your mother?" "She's in the kitchen helping with the desserts. Uncle William, are you going to tell her I said something? She told me not to meddle in adult business." "Don't worry about that now," he reassured her, setting the glass aside without taking a sip. "You did the right thing by telling me. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out." Now, back to the story. Jennifer approached just then, her perfect smile and impeccably styled blonde hair shining. "Hi, darling. I saw you talking with Margaret's little girl. How adorable," she said, slipping her arm through his. "But I think she'd better go back to her mother, don't you? Kids get lost at adult parties." "Emily was just congratulating me," William replied, studying every expression on his fiancée's face. "Right, sweetheart?" The girl nodded timidly and stepped away, but not before giving a meaningful glance at the glass in William's hand. "You haven't had your champagne yet, darling," Jennifer observed, lightly touching the stem of the glass. "I've been looking forward to toasting our love officially." "I was waiting for you so we could do it together," he lied, forcing a smile. "How romantic." Jennifer grabbed a glass for herself from a passing waiter's tray. "Shall we celebrate?" William raised his glass but only pretended to drink, barely wetting his lips. Jennifer took a normal sip, watching him closely. "Is it good?" she asked. "Perfect," he replied, still holding the full glass. As Jennifer led him to greet other guests, William took advantage of a moment when she was distracted to discreetly pour the contents of his glass into a nearby plant pot. Over the next 2 hours, he observed Jennifer with new eyes. Every smile, every affectionate gesture, every sweet word now carried a different weight. Could it all just be an elaborate act? When he finally managed to steal a few minutes alone, William sought out Margaret in the kitchen. The 55-year-old woman, her graying hair tied in a simple bun, was arranging desserts with the efficiency of someone who knew every corner of that house. "Margaret, I need to talk to you," he said, keeping his voice low. "Of course, Mr. Parker. Did something happen? Is the party not going well?" "The party is perfect. It's about Emily. She said something that worried me." Margaret stopped what she was doing and looked at him with concern. "Did she do something wrong?" "I told her to stay quiet and not bother anyone." "No, it's not that. She warned me about something important. Margaret lately. Have you noticed anything strange about my behavior? The housekeeper hesitated, nervously fidgeting with her hands. Well, I don't know if it's my place to say, Mr. Parker. Please be honest with me, it's important. You've seemed a little confused sometimes, forgetting things you just did, slow to respond. I thought it was work fatigue, you know, you've always been so busy. And Jennifer, how has she acted when I'm like that? Margaret lowered her voice even further. She's very attentive to you, always offering medicine, tea, coffee. Says it's to take better care of you. Seems like the kind of thing someone who really cares would do, right? Emily told me she saw Jennifer putting something in my drinks. Do you think that's possible? Margaret's face paled. Oh my. Emily said that? She's very observant, always has been. Even as a little girl, she noticed everything. Do you believe her? Mr. Parker, my daughter has never lied in her life. If she said she saw it, then she saw it. But why would Mrs. Jennifer do such a thing? That was exactly the question tormenting William. Jennifer didn't need money. She was a successful lawyer with her own practice. She had only learned about his wealth after they started dating, or at least that's what he believed. Margaret, I need you and Emily to stay alert. Don't mention this to anyone yet, but keep an eye on everything you can. Don't worry, Mr. Parker, and for heaven's sake, be careful what you drink. The rest of the party passed like a waking nightmare for William. He greeted guests, posed for photos, gave speeches, all on autopilot while his mind raced with terrifying possibilities. Jennifer was radiant, introducing him as her future husband to people he didn't know. She talked about honeymoon plans, house renovations, even having children. It all seemed so natural, so genuine. When the last guests left, it was nearly 2 in the morning. Jennifer said she would stay at the mansion, as she'd been doing for the past few weeks. What a wonderful party, darling, she remarked, taking off her shoes in the living room. I think we impressed everyone. Yes, it was perfect, William agreed, still analyzing every word she said. I'm exhausted. I'll take a shower and then we'll go to bed. Tomorrow we have that meeting with the decorator for the wedding. While Jennifer got ready in the bathroom, William took the chance to search her purse. He felt terrible going through his fiancée's belongings, but he needed to know the truth. Inside the designer bag were the usual items: wallet, phone, makeup, keys, but at the bottom in a small compartment were 3 tiny paper envelopes. 2 were empty, but one still contained a white powder. William's heart raced. Emily was right. Quickly, he took a small sample of the powder and wrapped it in a tissue, returning the envelope to its place. He needed to find out what that substance was. The next day, William cancelled all his appointments and went straight to the lab of his friend, Dr. Wilson. William, what a surprise, greeted the doctor, a 60-year-old man he'd been friends with since college. I heard about the engagement. Congratulations. Thank you, Wilson. Actually, I came here because of that. I need you to analyze a substance for me. It's urgent and confidential. The doctor noticed the seriousness in his friend's tone. Of course. What is it? William told the whole story, from Emily's warning to finding the powder in Jennifer's bag. Dr. Wilson listened silently, his expression growing more concerned. Did you bring a sample? I did. William handed over the tissue with the powder. I'll send it for analysis right away. I'll have the results in a few hours. William, in the meantime, don't accept anything she offers you, understood? Got it. And Wilson, do you think I'm crazy? Unfortunately, no. I've seen similar cases before. People who use substances to manipulate others, usually for money or power. The important thing is we find out the truth before it's too late. William spent the rest of the day trying to act normal, but every interaction with Jennifer felt like a test. She offered him tea in the morning, vitamin supplements at lunch, and insisted he take a muscle relaxant after a supposed back pain he hadn't even mentioned. That afternoon, Dr. Wilson called. William, I need to see you in person. It's better we don't discuss this over the phone. An hour later, William was in his friend's office, his legs weak. It's benzodiazepine, the doctor announced. A considerable dose. This type of medication causes exactly the symptoms you described. Mental confusion, drowsiness, short-term memory loss. What is this used for? Legitimately for anxiety and insomnia. But in high regular doses like this, it can make a person completely susceptible to manipulation. The person remains conscious but with severely impaired judgment. William felt nauseous. Wilson, in the past few weeks I've signed several documents I don't fully remember. Powers of attorney, contract amendments. You need to review all of that immediately. And William, you need to decide what to do with this information. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. That night, William pretended to be asleep when he heard Jennifer getting out of bed. Through barely open eyes, he saw her pick up her phone and leave the room silently. He waited a few minutes before following her. He found her in the library, whispering into the phone. "No, I haven't gotten everything yet." He's been a little suspicious lately. "I need a few more weeks. Yes, I know it's hard for you too, but you have to be patient." William hid behind a bookshelf, his heart pounding. "Brandon's treatment is costing a fortune. I can't stand pretending to love this man anymore. But it's the only way to get the money we need." Brandon? Who was Brandon? Jennifer had said she had no family, that she was alone in the world. "I've already gotten the general power of attorney. Next week I'll open that joint account we talked about. After that, it's just a matter of time before I transfer enough." William had heard enough. He returned to the bedroom silently, pretending to be asleep when Jennifer came back. The next day, he hired a private investigator. Within 48 hours, he had a full report on Jennifer Brooks' life. The truth was very different from what she had told him. Jennifer had a younger brother, Brandon, who was 28 years old. 3 years earlier, he had been in a motorcycle accident that left him with severe neurological damage. She had been single-handedly covering the cost of his treatment at an expensive private clinic, which cost nearly $40,000 a month. Her law firm had been struggling for 2 years. She had massive debts with banks and suppliers. Officially, she was on the verge of bankruptcy. But what shocked William the most was discovering that Jennifer had approached him with calculated intent. The investigator found records showing she had extensively researched his personal and professional life even before their first meeting. Everything had been planned. William felt betrayed, used, humiliated. Yet strangely, he also felt a flicker of understanding. Jennifer was desperate to save her brother. That didn't justify what she had done, but it explained why. He decided to confront her that very night. "Jennifer, we need to talk," he said when she returned from her meeting with the decorator. "Of course, darling, about the wedding. The decorator had some wonderful ideas for the flowers." "Not about the wedding, it's about Brandon." Jennifer's face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about." "Your brother, Brandon Brooks, 28 years old, admitted to Riverside Medical Center 3 years ago." Jennifer sank heavily onto the couch, her hands trembling. When did you find out?" "Recently. The question is, why did you lie about him?" Tears began streaming down her face. "Because I knew if you learned the truth, you'd never want to be with me. Who would marry a bankrupt woman with a sick brother to support? So you decided to drug me?" Jennifer looked up, startled. "Drug you? What are you talking about?" "Benzodiazepine, in my coffee, my juice, my tea, for the last 2 months. I never," she stammered, but guilt was written all over her face. "Emily saw you, Margaret's daughter. She told me everything." Jennifer buried her face in her hands and began sobbing. "I didn't want to do it. You have to believe me. I really fell in love with you, William. That wasn't part of the original plan." "What was the original plan?" "To meet you, marry you, gain access to your money, take enough for Brandon's treatment, and then come up with an excuse for a divorce. And now I truly love you and I hate myself for starting all this. Every pill I slipped into your drink felt like a dagger in my heart. But I couldn't stop because Brandon, he needs this treatment, William. If it stops, he could suffer irreversible damage." William stayed silent for several minutes, processing everything. "Show me the prescription." "What?" "The prescription. Where did you get those pills?" Jennifer hesitated before going to her purse and pulling out a small bottle. "Dr. Thompson gave them to me. He said they'd help you relax, that you were too stressed with work." William examined the bottle. Dr. Thompson had been his personal physician for years. "Jennifer, did you talk to Dr. Thompson about me?" "I did. I told him you were having insomnia, headaches, that I was worried. He gave me these sedatives and said I could mix them in your food or drink if you refused to take them." A terrible suspicion began forming in William's mind. "When was this?" "About 2 months ago, right after we started dating." The next day, William confronted Dr. Thompson. "Doctor, I need to clarify something with you. Jennifer said you prescribed benzodiazepine for her to give me without my knowledge." The doctor, a 65-year-old man who had overseen William's health for over 20 years, looked confused. "William, I never prescribed anything for Jennifer. I've never even spoken to her about your health. That would be unethical." "But she has a bottle with your name on it." "Impossible, let me see." When William showed the bottle, Dr. Thompson examined it carefully. "This prescription is forged. Look, the handwriting isn't mine, and I never use this kind of paper. Plus, the dosage prescribed here is dangerously high." William's world crumbled once again. Jennifer had lied about this too. That afternoon, he returned home with a rage he'd never felt before. He found Jennifer in the kitchen preparing dinner. "You lied about Dr. Thompson too," he said without preamble. Jennifer dropped the spoon she was holding. "I can explain. You forged a medical prescription. That's a crime, Jennifer." "William, please let me explain everything from the beginning." "Then explain." Jennifer took a deep breath and sat down in the kitchen chair. 3 years ago, when Brandon had his accident, I was already struggling at the office. The economic crisis hit the legal sector hard, and I lost several major clients. "Go on." "When I found out how much his treatment would cost, I panicked. I tried loans, sold everything of value I had, but it wasn't enough. The debts just kept piling up. And then you decided to meet me. It wasn't like that. First I tried other things. I worked 18-hour days, took on any case that came my way, even the low-paying ones. But I couldn't keep up with the expenses. When did you decide I'd be your target?" 8 months ago. I was at my limit, about to lose custody of Brandon because I couldn't pay Riverside Medical Center anymore. That's when a friend showed me a business magazine article about you. "And you planned our first meeting?" "Yes, I found out you attended that conference every year. I got an invite through a contact. I was prepared to get close to you." "But what you weren't prepared for was falling in love with me." Jennifer began to cry again. "That happened by the 3rd week. You were different than I expected, kinder, more human. Remember the night we talked until 4 a.m. about our childhoods?" William remembered. It had been one of the most special nights of his life. "That was the night I realized I'd truly fallen in love, and that what I was planning to do was terrible. But you went through with the plan." "I did because I saw no other way. Brandon was getting worse. The doctors said he needed a specific treatment only available at a clinic in Boston. It would cost $300,000. And the medication? I got it from an acquaintance who works at a pharmacy. He forged the prescription, said it was just a mild sedative that you wouldn't even notice. Jennifer, you drugged me for 2 months, made me sign documents while I was under the influence. That's... I know what it is," she burst out. "Do you think I don't know I'm a criminal? That I'm a horrible person? But what would you do if it were your brother dying? If you were the only person he had in the world?" Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. William fell silent. It was a hard question to answer. "Show me all the documents I signed," he finally said. Jennifer went to the office and returned with a folder. Inside were 3 power of attorney forms and a joint account agreement. "These were the only ones," she said. "I was going to use the power of attorney to transfer money to the joint account, then for Brandon's treatment." "How much were you going to take?" $500,000, enough for the treatment and to pay off my debts. I was going to leave a letter explaining everything and then disappear from your life." "And now?" "Now I don't know what to do. I truly love you, but I know you'll never forgive me. And Brandon, he's getting worse every day." William looked at the woman who had been his fiancée just hours before. She was shattered, vulnerable, desperate, but she had also tried to destroy his life. "I want to meet Brandon," he said suddenly. What? I want to meet your brother, see his condition for myself. William, you don't have to. Yes, I do. If I'm going to make a decision about all this, I need to fully understand what's at stake. The next day, they went together to Riverside Medical Center. Brandon was in a private room, hooked up to several machines. He was a thin young man with brown hair, looking younger than his 28 years. "Hi, Jennifer," he said weakly when she entered. "It's not visiting day today." "I know, Brandon. I brought someone who wanted to meet you. This is William." Brandon studied William curiously. "You're her boyfriend? She talks about you a lot." "Only good things, I hope." William forced a smile. "Only good things. She says you're someone special." For the next hour, William talked with Brandon about football, music, and movies. The young man was smart and charismatic despite his physical limitations. It was easy to see why Jennifer would do anything to save him. "Doctor, can I speak with you?" William called the attending physician when they left the room. "Of course. Are you a relative of Brandon's?" "I'm a family friend. I'd like to better understand his condition." "Brandon suffered a severe traumatic brain injury. We saved his life, but there were lasting motor and cognitive effects. With his current treatment, he's stable, but showing no significant improvement." "What about this experimental treatment in the US?" Mrs. Jennifer mentioned that. Yes, there's a new therapy showing promising results for cases like Brandon's, but it's very expensive and still experimental." "What are his chances of success?" "Hard to say. Maybe 60–70% chance of significant improvement, but no guarantees. And if he doesn't get this treatment, he'll stay as he is. It's not life or death right now, but the chances of natural recovery are minimal." On the way back, William and Jennifer were silent for a long time. "He seems like a good kid," William finally said. "He's the best brother anyone could have. He always took care of me when we were little. Our parents died when I was 16 and he was 14. He gave up so much to help me finish college. And that's why you feel you have to take care of him now. It's not just obligation. I love him more than anything in this world. He's all the family I have left." When they got home, William shut himself in the office to think. He had a difficult decision ahead. Legally, he could report Jennifer. She had committed multiple crimes: forgery, administering medication without consent, fraud. She could go to prison for years. Emotionally, it was more complicated. She had truly fallen in love with him. Her feelings were genuine, even if the circumstances had been fraudulent. And then there was Brandon, an innocent young man who depended on her to survive. 3 days later, William called Jennifer to talk. "I've made a decision," he said. She was pale, her hands trembling. "I'll pay for Brandon's treatment." "William, let me finish. I'll pay for the treatment, but with conditions." "What conditions?" "First, you'll return all the powers of attorney and close that joint account. Second, you'll undergo psychological counseling to deal with this situation. Third, the wedding is off." Jennifer began to cry. "I understand, and I accept all your conditions. You're being more generous than I deserve. I'm not done. Fourth, after 6 months of therapy, we'll talk again about us." "What do you mean?" "Jennifer, I believe you truly love me, and I still love you too, despite everything. But I need time to process all this, and you need help dealing with your tendency to make desperate decisions. Are you saying that there's a chance we could try again?" "I'm saying real love sometimes survives betrayals, but only if people are willing to change. Are you willing?" "I am. I'll do anything, William. Anything." "Then let's take it slow, as friends first. Taking care of Brandon together. Rebuilding trust." That afternoon, as they sorted through the paperwork to undo the fraudulent documents, Emily arrived at the mansion with Margaret. "Uncle William," the girl ran to him. "Mommy told me you're not marrying Aunt Jennifer anymore." "That's true, sweetheart. But maybe in the future, if things work out." Emily looked at Jennifer, who sat on the couch with eyes red from crying. "Aunt Jennifer, why were you putting medicine in Uncle William's drink?" Jennifer knelt to meet the girl's gaze. "Because I did something very wrong, Emily. I was scared and desperate. and I thought it was the only way to help someone I love very much. But lying is wrong. Yes, it is. Very wrong. And now I'll have to work hard to fix what I did." "Did Uncle William forgive you?" Jennifer glanced at William. "He's giving me a second chance, but I'll have to prove I deserve it." "I think everyone deserves a second chance," Emily said with the innocent wisdom of a child, "especially when they're truly sorry." 6 months later, Brandon was in Boston undergoing experimental treatment. The first weeks were tough, but gradually he began showing signs of improvement. He could walk more steadily, his speech was clearer, and the doctors were optimistic. Jennifer visited him once a month, always with William by her side. She was attending therapy twice a week and had found work at a law firm specializing in patient rights. "It was Emily's idea," she told William during one of their trips to Boston. "She said I should help others going through what Brandon did. And how are you feeling?" "Better. Therapy is helping me understand why I made those choices and to find healthier ways to cope with desperation." "And us? How do you feel about us?" "Scared," she admitted. "Scared you'll change your mind. Scared I won't be the person you deserve. But also hopeful." "I'm scared too," William confessed. "But I believe it's worth trying." It was during one of these trips that William found the courage to make a request. "Jennifer, I want you to move back into my house." "William, are you sure?" "It's still too soon." "Not as my fiancé. As someone I'm getting to know again. Separate rooms, no pressure, just living and learning to trust each other." "What if it doesn't work?" "Then at least we'll know we tried the right way this time." Jennifer agreed, and little by little, they rebuilt their relationship. Margaret and Emily were key in this process, creating a family atmosphere neither had experienced before. "Uncle William," Emily said one afternoon as they played in the garden, "Aunt Jennifer is different now." "Different how?" "Happier, but also more, how do I say it? More real." "Real?" "Yeah. Before, she smiled a lot, but it felt like she was worried about something. Now she smiles less, but when she does, it feels true." Once again, Emily's childlike wisdom struck William. A year after the confrontation, Brandon returned from the United States with an 80% improvement in his motor and cognitive functions. He wasn't completely healed, but he could walk, speak normally, and even return to part-time work. "Thank you," were the first words he said to William when they met at the airport. "You don't have to thank me." "Yes, I do. My sister told me everything. What she did, what you still did for me. I don't know many people who would have that kind of greatness. Your sister paid a high price for what she did, and she's still paying for it every day, trying to become a better person. Is she succeeding? She is, and she's teaching me that real love sometimes has to weather storms to grow stronger." 2 years after the day Emily warned William about his drinking, they married in a simple ceremony in the mansion's garden. Margaret was the matron of honor, Emily was the flower girl, and Brandon walked Jennifer down the aisle. "This time," Jennifer whispered during the vows, "it's for pure love. No hidden motives." "I know," William replied, "and this time, we'll face any problem together." Emily, now 10 years old, watched everything with a proud smile. She had been the one to plant the seed of honesty that allowed their love to rebuild on solid ground. During the reception, as William and Jennifer danced, Margaret approached Emily. "Sweetheart, you saved this man and this woman." "What do you mean, Mom? If you hadn't had the courage to tell the truth, who knows what would have happened to them?" "I just did what I thought was right. Uncle William was always good to us, wasn't he? I had to look out for him too." "And Aunt Jennifer, do you forgive her for what she did?" Emily thought for a moment before answering. "Mom, Aunt Jennifer was hurting so much because of her brother. Sometimes when people are hurting, they do wrong things. But what matters is that she regretted it and is trying to be better. You're very wise for a 10-year-old. Well, life teaches you, doesn't it? And besides, now we have a bigger family. Uncle William, Aunt Jennifer, Uncle Brandon, us. It's nice to have a big family." 5 years had passed since that night at the engagement party. Jennifer and William had a daughter, Sophia, who was born with the same observant eyes as Emily. Brandon became a physical therapist, specializing in neurological rehabilitation. using his own experience to help other patients. Margaret was promoted to house manager, and Emily, now 13, earned a full scholarship to one of the city's best private schools. "Uncle William," Emily said one Sunday afternoon as the whole family had lunch together, "can I ask you something?" "Of course, sweetheart." "Have you ever regretted forgiving Aunt Jennifer?" William looked at his wife, who held Sophia in her arms, and at Brandon, who was playing with his niece. "Never. Not for a second." "And you, Aunt Jennifer? Do you regret telling the truth?" "Every day, I'm grateful I found the courage to be honest. And most of all, I'm grateful you helped me do the right thing that night." "What do you mean?" "Emily, when you warned William about the drinking, you didn't just save him. You saved me, too. You saved me from becoming someone I'd hate for the rest of my life. And now we're a real family," Brandon added, "built on truth, not lies." That night, after everyone had gone to bed, William and Jennifer talked on the porch. "Sometimes I think about what would have happened if Emily hadn't seen," Jennifer said. "I don't like to think about that. I would have gone through with the plan. I would have taken the money and disappeared. You would have been left confused, not understanding what happened. Brandon would have gotten better, but I would have lost the love of my life. But it didn't happen that way. No. Because of a brave 8-year-old girl who chose to do what was right, even when it was hard. Emily has always been special. Margaret raised an extraordinary daughter, and we're raising Sophia in the same environment of honesty and love. She'll grow up knowing mistakes can be fixed, and that true love overcomes any obstacle, as long as people are willing to change." "And we did change, didn't we? You learned to forgive, I learned to trust, Brandon learned to accept help, Emily learned her voice matters. And Margaret? Margaret always knew all of this, she just taught us." 10 years after the engagement party that changed their lives, William organized a special celebration. He invited the whole family for an anniversary dinner. Emily, now 18 and about to start medical school, gave an emotional speech. "When I was little and saw something wrong happening, my mum always taught me that staying silent in the face of injustice makes you complicit. That night, 10 years ago, I saw something I knew was wrong, but I never imagined telling the truth would save not just Uncle William, but all of us." "Why did you decide to tell me?" William asked, a question he'd never asked directly. "Because you were always kind to me and Mom. Because I saw Aunt Jennifer was hurting too, and I thought if I told, maybe you two could talk and work it out together." "You thought we'd work it out? Even knowing she was doing something so serious?" "I was little, but I could tell she really loved you. When someone truly loves another but is doing something wrong, it's usually because they're scared or desperate. I thought if you talked..." "An 8-year-old saw what many adults couldn't," Brandon observed. "That behind wrong actions, there might be good people going through hard times. And that everyone deserves a second chance," added Sophia, now 5, repeating a phrase she often heard at home. "Exactly," said Jennifer, hugging her daughter. "But only if the person is truly sorry and willing to change." Mrs. Margaret, now 65, looked around the table at the people who had become her extended family. "You know what makes me proudest?" she said. "Seeing that my daughter learned early that doing what's right is sometimes hard but always worth it. And I learned that admitting mistakes and asking for forgiveness is hard too, but it sets you free," Jennifer added. "I learned that forgiving isn't forgetting, but choosing not to let it define the future," said William. "And I learned that accepting help isn't weakness, it's wisdom," Brandon finished. Emily smiled, looking at her chosen family. "And I learned that a lie can destroy lives, but the truth, even when painful, can save them all." That night, after everyone left, William found in his office the champagne glass he'd kept as a memento from that night 10 years ago. The glass, Emily stopped him from drinking. Jennifer joined him. "Why did you keep this?" "To remind me that sometimes the greatest blessings come disguised as the biggest scares. If you hadn't put that drug in, if Emily hadn't seen, if I hadn't found out, none of this would have happened. Are you saying it was good I tried to drug you? I'm saying it was good we found a way to turn betrayal into a lesson of love and forgiveness." Jennifer took the glass from his hands. "Then let's make a toast. Not with this glass, but with who we are today. They went to the kitchen and got 2 clean glasses, filling them with grape juice. "To Emily," said William, raising his glass. "To Emily," Jennifer agreed. "The girl who had the courage to do what was right when all the adults were failing. To second chances, to painful truths that set us free, to families built with love, not just blood, and to champagnes never drunk, yet still changing everything." They sipped in silence, gazing through the kitchen window at the garden where Sophia played with her dolls, unaware of the history that preceded her birth, but blessed by every lesson learned. "Jennifer?" "Yes?" "If you could go back in time, would you change anything?" She thought for a long moment. "I'd change how I handled despair. I'd seek help before making choices that could have ruined lives. But I wouldn't change the ending. I wouldn't change our family, our story, our love. Not even the part where you drugged me for 2 months. Especially that part. Because my lowest moment taught me who I truly wanted to be." The end. And you, dear listener, what did you think of this story of second chances and forgiveness? Tell us in the comments if you believe William made the right choice forgiving Jennifer. Your opinion means so much to us. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss other heartfelt stories.